Hey there, Tabletop Warfighters. I'm the Sergeant, and this is my table. Now grab a brush and give me 20. Hey there, Tabletop Warfighters. Today we're working on some Minas Tirith objective markers. I was in a league a while ago, and there was an achievement to do this. So that's what we're going to be working on. Alright, so first things first is we're going to need a bunch of these bricks. As you can see, I've already made some. This is just from a Kleenex box that I have obviously used up. And so I need more. So I'll show you how we make those real quick. So this is one, as you can see, I've already got some line scored into. All I did was just go 1 centimeter by a half a centimeter. And that's kind of how I did my my measurements, as you can see. And then I just kind of drew some lines across, and then scored them. And then all I'm going to do from there is just go back through and continue to score them deeper until they're basically off. Be a very tedious process, but just go slow, let the knife do the work, and it'll cut through. Just a couple passes. As you can see, I'm basically through this one. It's just this little corner here that's taking its sweet time. And that's off. So then once you get all of them off, you just same thing, I turn it. And then I'll just say the same thing, but on the smaller ends. Get those done. As you can see, they come apart. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all these and come back when we're all done. Alright, so I got a whole bunch cut out, so we're all set to get moving with these, with the bases. So set these off to the side. So the next thing that we're gonna need is just some extra strong formula, just regular Elmer's glue. We're gonna need some sand, and then some bases. So here's the test one that I did, and I'll kind of show you how we make it. It's pretty straightforward, a couple colors after, and it's basically done. So I'll start with the glue in the center of the base, and I think that kind of helps me get those bricks nice and even. I kind of found that if you start at one side of the base and work your way towards the other, one of the brick layers will end up looking really thin, and the other ones will look like a nice full brick. So it's just kind of odd to me. But yeah, so I kind of start in the center, work my way around. I like to start with that one nice line through the center, and it kind of helps me to kind of know where I have to lay the next bricks after that. And then you'll see that some of the glue is a little watered down. That's fine, I haven't had an issue with it peeling up. It just helped me make it flow a little bit easier. And then just to stick them on, I just stick the end of the brick with my hobby knife here. And then it just kind of, you know, moves it on there for you. And then I do cut up some bricks as well and lay them on. I think it helps out a little bit. Make it look like it's a nice, nice ruined kind of stone pattern that really needs some fixing. And just ignore my shiny camera work. I'm still working on it. Alright, so as you can see, I got all the brick laid out on all the other bases that I have. So next thing I have to do is basically trim up and clean up the edges. There's a few different ways you can do it. Is to basically take your blade and you see where it kind of lines up around here. I guess you're just going to clip that off just in a nice straight line. It takes a little more work, and the hope is that you don't tear apart your base too much. But as you can see, that gives it a nice straight line. So you can either go, you know, like keep everything nice and straight, and then I can take this piece and go at another angle. As you can see, it kind of comes right off. I can do it again here, and then again. And as you can see, it gives it a nice squared edge. So that is one way. And then I'm not gonna worry about this, it's not really hanging over, as you can see, so I'd keep that. The other way we can do it is we can take our blade and you can see where it's hanging over, and what I like to do is I'll hold it and I'll just kind of press and keep it so it's nice and even. And I'll go ahead and try to just go so slowly with it. We don't really want to tear up, we really want to push in. So we're basically cutting away the cardboard, and the hope is that we don't damage the outside of the base too much. That's the one downside about doing it like this, is that you can scrape away the base if you're not careful, and keeping a nice, keeping your knife blade flush with the roundness of the base, with the lip there. So it is tricky, but I kind of like when it's rounded myself. I feel like the base looks a little bit more together, rather than just kind of squarish. So this really, either way, is your choice on how you want to do it. Just be careful, because again, you're cutting towards yourself. So, knives are sharp. I found out many times on my own. So, yeah, I'll get this little one cleaned off here. This one here. And if it's really getting hard to push in, you're probably cutting into the base, so just take a step back and maybe reevaluate where you're at and see what else needs to be done. So yeah, that's the other way. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these done, and we'll come back and we'll put some sand on the bases. Alright, as you can see, I got all my just cleaned up on all the bases. So the next step is just gonna add some, we're gonna add some sand. It'll add like a little rubble look to it. And so I'll show you how I do one of them, and then we'll do the rest, and we got on to the next step. Alright, so let me get these out of the way. So anywhere where I've left kind of like a brick opening, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take that glue like I was using earlier, and I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna apply it on the inside. It'll look like the, bricks basically needing to be replaced, and now there's just like that sublayer of rock and sand is in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit here, and I'll add a little bit on the edge here, this piece. I'll add a little bit here, and you don't have to do this everywhere, just wherever you would like to. A little variety here and there is nice, so I'll add it to this spot here. You don't have to fill the entire spot. So after I get that on, all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab my sand, I'm gonna sprinkle it on, tap it off, see how it looks, and then what I like to do sometimes is I'll add a little bit here and there, just on top. So I'm gonna take a little bit, I think I wanna put some over on this side here. I'm just gonna take it and a little glue, just gonna add it just on top of this, so it looks like there's just some debris on top of the rocks as well. Then I'll go and I'll take the sand again, just sprinkle it on, dab it off, let it dry, and then go on to the next one. So I'll knock out the other 4, and we'll get to the next part. Alright, so here's all 5 of the bases completely ready to go. Sand's on, bricks are all finished. So let's go ahead and get to painting. That's our next step in this process. So here's the order that I'm going to go in. I'm going to start with Administratum Gray. That's just going to be a heavy coat of paint. I'll thin that down about 50-50. Make sure it gets in all the cracks and crevices, and gets in all the little sand bits as well. We don't really want any black or sand showing through. So we'll start there, and then once it's all dry, we'll go and do a heavy dry brush of Lethalon Gray, and then we'll do a light dry brush of White Scar. And it turns out a little bit more white than a gray brick, so you could always knock this back and just don't do White Scar. You could start with like a Dawnstone and then go all the way up back to Lethalon Gray if you'd like. And I like the way it looks, so this is what I've been doing, and this is how I'm going to continue for all of my bases from Minas Tirith Army. So let's get to painting. Alright, so with the objective markers, obviously we need some objectives to put on them. So I have some pieces here that we're going to use. I got 2 different statues. I've got the ale keg, you know, bring out the ale. And then I got some barrels here. And then I got 2 of the pieces out of the new box set. And then this here is a spear that I got from an old Minas Tirith knight that I'm going to go ahead and print a banner off for. So we're going to go ahead and paint them up. All the stonework I'm going to do in Mechanica Standard Gray. Then I'm going to go do a dry brush in Dawn Stone with Administratum Gray next. And all the wood, I'm going to go ahead and do like a variety of wildwood with different variations of the contrast medium. And then each of the weapons and stuff I'll do up individually, just kind of how I'm feeling I'm doing it. Obviously I'm going to do the sword will end up being, the spear will end up being brown and the tip will be silver. And then the banner I'm just going to print off and glue it. So let's go get those painted up and we'll come back when they're all done. Alright, so next I'm going to continue on with the barrels. Anywhere where there's like the metal banding, I'm going to do lead belcher around that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add, I'll do a wash of Nuln Oil. And then where there's any like the little stoppers, I'm going to do some Game Blade Brown just to give it a little variety so it's not just the same brown. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So right here, I'm going to be working on that little fire pit that I decided to change up. And all I'm doing is just kind of first measuring the arm size just to kind of make it look semi-realistic so it's not like a 50-foot log compared to the size of the model. So I just kind of got a couple pieces cut up and then I'm just cleaning up the edges here. And then this is where it gets a little dangerous. I'm just going to split these each into 4 pieces. Just be careful, you are working with a knife. And this is basically going to serve as, you'll see they're like the logs that are going to stick up, right? And then I just took some wildwood here and some contrast medium, thinned it down. And I'm just going to put these 4 pieces that we cut up, 3 pieces, in here. I'm going to take them out just to, make them look more like wood. And then I'm going to take them off after they've been on for a little bit and try to get some of that excess off. We don't want it overly brown, but we want it just a nice little tint to make it look, more natural. So once you feel like it's soaked in enough, just take a paper towel and roll it off onto it and then go from there. Let them dry and then we'll move on to the next step. So I have some base writing material here, and all I really did was find out some of the bigger pieces of the rocks. And then I just took some tacky glue and started dipping one each in and going around in a circle to kind of create that, the barrier. It was for safety purposes, of course. And before I actually did this, I took them all out and put them on the base to see if it was going to be a good fit and the size that it would need to be and if I had enough. And then I just went back through and tacked them in place. And as you can see, I have some of the Grim Dark base rubble ready base material as well, and I just took out some of the small pieces and I'm going to try to put that in the inside of it just to make it look like it's a little bit more being used and that there's actually been some fires happening in here. It turns out I was one short, so found another one that worked. A little more glue and stick it on there. So I tried a little use with the paintbrush here, and I think didn't really work out too well, so I just grabbed a little tool here and just popped it in. Sorry about the camera work again. I'm working on trying to keep it all in frame as best I can. And I just took some scenic sealant here, applied it on just to help keep it in place. And then as you can see, I kind of lost a couple frames here. I forgot to hit record. All I really did was just stick the bottom of each of those pieces of wood into some more tacky glue and then just kind of stand them upright, and because it's tacky it really sits well together. And then what I'm doing here is I'm hoping that I can make smoke stick a little better upright. I liked how it was, but I wasn't sure if it would just kind of flop around or anything like that. And after I let it dry, this is kind of the way it looked. I might have just left it, or maybe I would have found a different way to do it. Maybe like some kind of hairspray or something like that would have made it stick a little bit easier, but that didn't really happen. So then I just kind of took some black paint, just try to do a little dry brush on the outside of the smoke to make it look a little more smoky. And then that was that. So the next thing to do is go ahead and start gluing on all our pieces. I put a little pin inside the bottom of each one just to see where exactly it would land. And then I try to clip off a couple pieces, bend them a little bit. That way it'll have a little base in the bottom to clip into as well. I kind of like this sometimes, especially if I'm not super positive on how well it's all gonna sit properly in there, on the base that is. So then just glue it in, and that's really it. I do add both to the base and to the paper clip that I'm using, just for a little extra security. Hold it on there and move through all of them. So here's the flag that I worked on. I know I didn't record this. I wasn't really sure how to best capture this, so I'll have to work on that for the future. But all I did was I just went to Google, searched for a Minas Tirith banner. I think these were in one of the old Return of the King books from a very long time ago. And I just found a picture of it online. I tried to scale it down as best I could. And then I kind of glued it in place. And I did the same thing for the barrels and the my little keg thing that we've got going there. So again, I'm just positioning them all to best see where they all fit, and then apply a little glue and stick them on. It's really straightforward, really easy, not a lot of thought. The hard part is sometimes that the sand, when you put it down, sometimes it makes it a little more difficult for it to all fit properly. So just take your time, make sure it all fits the way that you like it, and just glue them in place. Alright, so next in the process, I'm taking some Agrax Earthshade, and I'm kind of adding it sporadically throughout all of the brick material that I have. So anywhere that there's stone or anything like that, I'm going to add some of this to it. This is really just going to dirty it up a little bit. No one's really cleaning these statues anyways, so do that to both, and then as well as that little pillar piece. And then next I'll end up doing another coat with a Athonian camo shade, just to give it a little green mossy appearance. So here's that. I'm just going to kind of do this wherever it looks like it's going to settle the best. Between some cracks on top of crevices and stuff like that. Anywhere that, moss is going to kind of take place, that's where I'm really going to put it. And I think it does add a nice little texture to it. It makes it look more realistic as well. So then the best part is the last part, in my opinion, which is just doing some tufts. I forget the exact one that I used here, but I like to cut them up. It makes it look like it's kind of coming out and around it, not just in a small circular patch around the brickwork. I think it it just looks a little more natural to me. So I'm doing with this, same thing I have on my side here, I have some tacky glue. Take some pieces, stick them on randomly. I try not to put them right next to each other, but I do try to keep them close by. Across multiple pieces, I'll do, 2 to 3, just depending upon the look that I'm going for. And that's really about it. And then I'm just going to go back through with some of that base ready material. I did mix, in this one should be a mix of the dark and light. And I just added some tacky glue, sprinkled some on in places where it looks like the rubber would build up. And I did this just as like an additional texture piece. And then just sprinkled on, shake it off, let it dry, and keep moving on. And the last step is to just paint the room of your base whatever color you like best. I like the brown look, it makes it feel more like Middle Earth to me. And so here's our finished product. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. Give me a little like. My hope is to do a series of videos that focuses on a specific faction or a location in Middle Earth. So right now I'm focused on some Minas Tirith stuff because that's what I did for my Slow Grow League. So after this I'd like to do a video on how to build a display board, and then going forward from that would be building a board itself, making terrain for the board, painting it, and so on and so forth. And then just trying to move throughout all of Middle Earth really. I've got some plans for the Shire, some plans for Rohan, Mordor, Harad, stuff like that. So if that's something that you're interested in seeing, please let me know. Thanks for watching.